Good morning. My name is Leo Smith, Leo George William Smith. I'm a management consultant, but I'm also not a dating coach. Hashtag not a dating coach. I wanted to talk about the date that I had last night. On paper, she was a 10, a knockout, beautiful woman, model-like. And again, on paper, it looked like, and I was anticipating, an awesome date, except there were some red flags and before the date, and I'll get into that. Before we go into the post-mortem of that date, I want to explain a couple of things. First of all, I'm not a dating coach. I'm more of a systems coach. I don't think there's any point in having a dating coach until you have the perfect candidates in front of you. Because if you're just dating frogs, a dating coach is not going to help you. This is where a systems coach like me can help you. I'll give you an example. I've just started dating about a week ago. Just got off a 6-year love of my life type relationship. And it ended due to no fault of my own. She moved to a different country. There's a whole video that explains that. I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, I was involved in what I felt was a nearly perfect relationship, and it ended because she moved to a different country because of COVID mandates and stuff like that. The system that I put into place, it took me almost 2 years. I hired 2 assistants, and I was very serious, and I'm still very serious about finding the love of my life, and I'm devastated that didn't work out. That relationship didn't work out. But how can this help you? Well, we put in the systems in place. We find out who your perfect Tom Cruise or Robert Redford or whoever your perfect match might be. And we create a system to find that person. We send out 10,000 emails, 100,000 emails to a specific group of people, not random, specific group of people, so you have more dates with perfect candidates. As we know, there is a tier system. We always want to bat above our league. I'm a 2, I want to date a 10, an 8 or a 10. I don't deserve that, but I also know that I deserve to be happy. You'd be surprised how many people or how many dates I have lined up with people that I have no business being with. I'm sure you've seen the guy with a Ferrari. He's short, fat, and bald, and there's a supermodel beside him. And women say they never settle. Well, bullshit. Women settle every day because they don't have a system to meet their perfect mate. Okay, I'm sorry for keep harping on that, but that is reality. That's been happening for 40 years, and it happened last night with my date. Again, I didn't deserve to be in front of her in that restaurant. But how do we come up with these strategies? Well, first of all, I'm a management consultant. That's my job. I've been doing that for 40 years now, and we've helped over 1,000 companies get to the next level. In other words, we've doubled or tripled a company's revenue. We help them find, key people. We develop, trusted relationships. We develop aggressive marketing systems and so on. So we are systems oriented, because I believe it's leverage tools in business that makes a business successful. In a romantic relationship, that doesn't change, because what is a business? A business is a bunch of people building trusted relationships, right? A business is not brick and mortar. A business is people building trusted relationships with other people. Isn't that exactly what you're trying to do in your social life or your love life, or to find the love of your life? You want to be in front of people in a way they want to talk to you. Okay, so I won't get into too deep into that. I'll do that in future videos. But how do we do that? Well, we've done a lot of research. A good friend of mine, and because I'm developing a course for this later on, a good friend of mine is a lawyer, is a divorce lawyer, and because I want to learn why divorces, why there's a 50%, 48% divorce rate. Um, what's happening with that? Because these are two people that were in love with each other at some point. All of a sudden, they're getting divorced. So what happens? So I like to interview these people at a restaurant over drinks, because drinks will get people to loosen up. And I like to do it with the couple while they're still going through the divorce process, preferably. Sometimes it's after the divorce, but I like to do it before, because if I can help them from getting divorced, why not? Right? If I can help people, I love helping people. So we interview them and we start asking questions like, why do you think you're getting a divorced? And generally they say, well, it's because of this, he cheated on me, he did that, or she did this, or she doesn't pay attention to me anymore, or whatever it is. But those are all symptoms of a much deeper problem. And what I'm trying to do is figure out where the problem originated, because a tree doesn't grow in front of a train tracks to derail the trains overnight. The tree started as a leaf that turned into a seed that turned into, you know what I mean. And eventually that little tree was watered and cultivated, and it was big enough at one point to derail the train. So when you start looking back and you start looking at all the symptoms, all the problems, all the complaints, you can usually trace back the seed that derailed the train from the first email, or the first point of contact, or the first interaction, or the first date. Generally, it happens before the first date. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because this happened last night. I see that seed that if I were to continue this relationship with the person that I met last night, and I said she was a 10, a clear 10, I would love to be in a relationship with her, but she's throwing up flags left, right, and center. And most people would not recognize these flags, because most people don't have 40 years of analyzing relationships like we do. Okay, that's the reason. But these flags are clearly there to anyone who is willing to pay attention, because most people on the first date, they're gaga, they're ignoring all the signs. You ignore all the signs. We ignore all the signs, right? So we're gaga about this person, and especially men, horniness takes over, and we forget everything else, right? We forget that we're, from day one, either we're building a trusted, loving relationship, or we're building resentment. Okay, it's one of those twos, and it could be somewhere in the middle, but that line exists in every relationship. So either you're building a trusted relationship, or you're building resentment. Now, in preparation for this date last night, obviously there was a lot of communication. I like to have a video chat to get to know a person, to make sure I'm not going to waste my time. I should have insisted on my policy on this one, because chances are this date would never have happened. Again, this is a beautiful woman, a supermodel-like person, that any man, even some women, would love to date. So let's backtrack a little bit. On one of the websites, I'm on 3 or 4 different websites. On one of the websites, I said hello, and we started the conversation. She has a number of pictures, beautiful pictures, that obviously show she's, a classy lady. She likes to work out every day. She owns a business. I mean, she ticked off a lot of the list that, I hate to say that, but we all have lists. So anyways, we started the conversation. There was a number of exchanges, and generally I have, I say no more than 3 or 4 or 5 email exchanges. If there is no video scheduled, a video chat scheduled, then, it's over. Let's go on to the next one, right? And I also have pre-written questions. I'm looking for an extremely affectionate person. I'm looking for someone who's friendly. I'm looking for someone, who interacts with wait staff and treats them with respect and so on. So I'm looking for different things, and you can ask questions that relate to that are not that obvious, that give you the answers. So, and I asked some of those questions, and I was starting to see red flags. And I mentioned that, the lawyer thing, and how we build resentment, or we are building trust relationships. Then I suggested that the person driving the longest distance should not pay for the first round. And the response that I got was, "Are you serious?" or something like that. And I knew that was a conversation ender, because she was at 10, I was at 2, I let it go. Mistake number 1, I shouldn't have let it go. Because who cares about a meal? Who cares about a few drinks? It's not a big deal. I make good money. That's not the point. The point is, if I believe in giving a person a second chance, now I'm seeing her on a second date with resentment, right? And I'll go further. She also mentioned in the conversation that her culture is known to look down on people. So again, she dresses well, she runs a successful business, and she admitted that she looks down on people. Of course, she tries not to let people know, but if it's going inside your head, your nonverbal communication is going to let people know how you feel. So that was flag number 2. Flag number 3 was that I mentioned that my first marriage, she was a cold fish. Those are the words that I used because I wanted to see reaction. Sometimes I use inflammatory language to knock people off balance to see how they react. And she was obviously uncomfortable with that, because I believe she is a cold fish, because she hasn't dated, she's been single for 21 years. So had I known that, I mean, that is a massive flag. Those are flares going up. 21 years, which means she is independent, which is great. She's independent, so she doesn't need a man. But that's not the type of person that I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who wants to share stuff with me, who wants to share her day-to-day activities, who wants to, to cuddle up at the end of the day and talk about her day and talk about her stresses and talk about whatever it is. I want to have intimate conversations. And if you put up this screen saying, "Well, I don't need a man," well, you're already telling me you're a cold fish. And what is a cold fish? A cold fish is someone who is not very intimate in bed, doesn't crave that type of affection, doesn't need it, probably doesn't orgasm as readily as most other people. And that's not what I'm looking for. I want someone who is vulnerable. She had a hard time being vulnerable. I don't want to get too deep into this, but there were other flags and out of respect for her. I mean, you don't know her name, you don't know what city it was in or anything like that, but out of respect for her, I don't want to go too deep into it, because I asked for a second date. I sent her a text making sure she got home safe. I sent her a text this morning saying I would love to see her again. But when we see together again, I'm going to ask for a Zoom call because I want to record it with her permission so we can do a post-mortem. So she understands how far off the track she was, how quickly she derailed the train, and she doesn't even know it. And I gave her plenty of hints of what I do for a living, and we talked about how other people, how nightmare dates that I've been on where a woman talked for 20 minutes without even acknowledging that I was there. And I let it go because it's like a car crash. You want to know, it's a rubbernecker thing because people are curious to see how far is this going to go. It went pretty far. But that was 7 or 8 years ago. So going back to what I was saying, I want to dissect it, but I want to do it with respect so she understands. Excuse me. I want to do it with respect so she understands where she went wrong, because I'm hoping to fix this before it gets too far and derails the train. Like I said, there was a reason why we wanted to meet each other. Obviously, she wanted to meet me. Hopefully, she wants to meet me a second time. Probably not. I would say there's a 90% chance she will ghost me and never respond to me because, I was not really that shy about some of the things she was saying. Even though I wanted to, sleep with her, develop a relationship, I wanted to be with her long term. So, but I couldn't let all the red flags go by without acknowledging them, or at least trying to discuss them. So the post-mortem will be interesting, and I'm wondering whether she will acknowledge, because she said some things that she looks down on other people. And I think she was uncomfortable that she does that, but she was vulnerable enough to say that. But I think we all do that at some point or another. Even when we travel to a different culture or different countries, I think we have some of that. We are not perfect human beings. Okay, so for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So every word that you use says something. What we say and what people hear are never the same. So we have to be careful about the words we use. I'm an asshole. I know that. I'm an asshole in business. People don't like me in a lot of cases because I put a mirror in front of their face and show them what they're doing in their business. And the reason why they can triple the size of their business is because they have to accept, hey, we all make mistakes and we have to make changes, because the ultimate definition of lunacy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So when they realize that in business, their team it's usually not the owner, but their team acknowledges that and they overcome any challenges. Same thing for personal life. If you've been single for 21 years and you're not meeting, or you're not going through a second, third, or fourth date, or your relationships end within 3 to 6 months, maybe it's not always them. Maybe we need to look at ourselves in the mirror, and that's what I have to do. And this is one of the reasons I do these video calls, so I understand how I fucked up. Well, first of all, I fucked up royally last night because I was a good 2 or 3 minutes late. And someone like that standing by the reception desk, looking for a reservation, and I'm late, that's not good. So maybe, well, not maybe, I'm positive that set the tone for the rest of the evening. So I'll take responsibility for that. I'll never be late again. I mean, it was traffic, but that's no excuse. I should have been there 15 minutes before the time. So I take responsibility for that. And I mentioned orgasms earlier. I dated a woman and it was a very loving relationship, the love of my life, the one that got away. She was told by another gentleman that she was in love with that the relationship couldn't go on because she couldn't orgasm. And imagine how devastating that would be from a person that you love, that and imagine the scars that would give you for a lifetime, right? So I believe that any woman can orgasm in a loving, trusted relationship. And that same woman who had never orgasmed before in her life, because we were in a loving, trusting relationship, we set up an atmosphere. I made sure that we set up an atmosphere of trust. And over time, over maybe 3 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, she started to orgasm. The orgasm became deeper. And she was orgasming a good 70 or 80% of the time. And when we started to figure out, well, why isn't she orgasming more? And we found it was usually due to stress at work or stress with family or stress. But even when the stress was there, and acknowledging the stress and taking extra care, she was able to orgasm. And she felt wonderful about her life. And finally she's able to do this. And she felt like even though she was another 10, I mean, clearly a 10, an X model, she had self-esteem issues. And I think a lot of women have self-esteem issues. I mean, look at the pay gap between male and female CEOs. I mean, women are brilliant at running businesses, yet their pay gap is outrageous. So women have self-esteem issues. So her self-esteem issues, being told that, I don't want to be with you because you're a broken person. I mean, that's scarring. That's ridiculous that anyone would ever say that to another human being. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have that problem, there is a solution. You need to find the love of your life, set up a trusted zone. The bedroom should be your trusted zone. You should be able to say anything, ask anything, and know that you're safe. If you don't feel you're safe, you are with the wrong person, or you haven't designed that relationship properly. I have 2 dating coaches. I have 6 business coaches. Surround yourself with brilliant people. Life is too short for you not to have the best life of your life. Right? We only do this once, unless you believe in reincarnation, which I don't. We have 100 years to live. Make the best of it, make the worst of it. It's your decision. Okay. But living with the love of your life and sharing every aspect of your life, travel and adventure and everyday cooking activities and washing dishes and everything can be fun and everything can be sensual. And that everything should be an experience. I'm done with the toys. I'm done with the cars, the fancy cars. I'm in for the experience. I'm in for the love of my life. It's not the activity. It's the person you do the activity with that's special. Okay. So we have courses that can help you with this. We have a done for you program where we'll put you in front of your ideal candidate, whether it's Tom Cruise, Robert Redford, or whoever it is, in real life. I'm not talking about movie stars. I'm talking about your equal to. We have a done for you program where you don't have to send out 10,000 emails. We will do that for you. We have assistants that will do that for you. We'll create the perfect profile. We'll do the beautiful photos. We'll write your profile. We'll do mock dates. We'll go through all the different steps that are preventing you. And I want to be clear here. You are designing a situation where you're building a wall between you and the love of your life. We're going to strip down that wall and figure out why this is not happening for you. And we're going to make sure this happens for you. Okay. So I would love to hear your questions, comments below. And by the way, this is the shirt that I wore last night. How dumb was that idea? So give me comments about the shirt. Give me comments about what I said. Be brutally honest, because if we can't have honest communication, then why are we doing this? I want to help you find the love of your life. And let's start with comments below. Hashtag not a dating coach. Find me online. Thank you. Bye.